mid-Florida coast because of these big thunderstorms, which are generally progressing from west to east. Big storm right over the central Everglades, putting down a lot of water. All right, let's talk about the tropics now, since we are in South Florida, and we'll talk about the names, the list of names for the Atlantic season. Let us hope that we don't get very far down this list. The prognostication is for about 10, I believe, named storms by Dr. William Gray from Colorado State. So that would put us a bit farther down the list, but the first name would be Allison. Points of origin, typically it's in the Western Caribbean or in the Gulf of Mexico. And right now in those areas things are quiet, and the rest of the Atlantic looking very, very quiet as well. Upper level winds, even though we have a little bit of a surface low over land here and a few showers perhaps and a little bit of a curvature here in the Bay of Campeche, the upper level winds a bit strong for any kind of development there. I mentioned the Caribbean pretty quiet, but farther south, to watch this area, the East Pacific, maybe something developing there and headed west.
You've never seen power and capacity like this. Eureka Whirlwind.
Degrees. Well, it was raining about 5 minutes ago. Now it's just cloudy. The wind out of that mild wind direction, the south at 6 miles an hour. The humidity very high. It was muggy out there today and this evening. The barometric pressure is slowly falling. Our neighborhood weather network, we're going south. We're going to Long Branch, New Jersey. At Long Branch Middle School, they're at 60. They received just under 9/10 of an inch of rainfall with that south to southeasterly breeze off the ocean. Our high today in Central Park, we saw a little bit of sun. Made it up to 72 degrees. Normally we should be at 77. Overnight low 58. Just above a half-inch of rainfall at the park. Nowhere near the records of 96.48 in 1946. And in that year, 2.24 inches of rain fell. Other areas received a lot of rain as well. We'll show you where momentarily. Around the region right now, pollen levels are still high. Grass levels moderate. Weeds are low levels. And the mold spores are moderate, all courtesy of UMDNJ in Newark. Around the region right now, 60s where it's raining, the 70s over in Morristown, Trenton, 71, Newark, Atlantic City. Well, we have a weak cold front working through the region right now, and 24 hours ago, there's a lot of rainfall over the region. It has since moved to the north and east. There's that weakening cool front with showers and thunderstorms developing, and another cold front back to the west of us that will give us another threat of showers and thunderstorms for tomorrow. Doppler 4000 right now, really active, and we've blown up the screen. Heavy rain over the Bronx, portions of Queens and Brooklyn, and over northern Bergen County near Paramus. Elsewhere, it is dry, except to the south near Lakewood, where they're receiving more showers and thunderstorms. Heavy rain fell overnight, and let's check it out where it did fall the heaviest. Over areas through central and southern New Jersey, with the areas of green, up to 3 inches of rain. Elsewhere, 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. And for tomorrow, morning clouds, otherwise afternoon sun. And you know the story, just the chance of a thunderstorm as this weakening cold front works through the area. Our forecast for tonight, we're calling for skies to be mostly cloudy. Maybe a thunderstorm, some fog, temperatures in the muggy lower 60s. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, mostly cloudy skies, 66. The rest of your forecast for tomorrow, don't put away the umbrella just yet. Clouds and sun, maybe a thunderstorm, 72. Looking ahead, Monday, finally we dry out, partly sunny, 78. Tuesday, partly sunny, 77. Rain is likely Tuesday night into Wednesday and Thursday. Scattered in nature, very humid with temperatures in the mid-70s. So right now, grab your umbrella if you're heading north and east of town. Grab your sunglasses if you live in New Jersey over Somerset County.
All right.
All right.
2 weeks ago, we were talking drought.
We needed the water.
All right. Yes, we did.
Okay.
Stop the rain dances. All right.
All right, Bruce Beck is live at the Meadowlands with a look at what's coming up in spring.
Run with us, and it was last weekend. We have downpours tonight, but it's going to be okay tomorrow. Now, there are definitely some wet spots out there tonight. Let's go straight to the AccuTrack, and what I want you to notice is that we have one batch of showers that's moving very slowly, and there are several downpours. Only one stroke of lightning I found near Asbury Park right now, but this is the main batch of showers that will be moving north through Westchester and into Connecticut. Very heavy rain through upper Manhattan right here, moving into Queens, parts of Nassau County. You see the next batch now ready to move into Yonkers and Rye. That's going to be very heavy over the next couple of hours. Also, it's still raining hard over parts of Rockland County, where we had the flash flood warning for the Mahwah River earlier this evening. Some more rain focused over the Jersey Shore, so we're going to be wet in the same corridor most of the night. Outside, what a picture. Look at that. We've erased the Twin Towers here because of the low clouds hanging overhead right now. Also, the Triborough Bridge, lots of rain there and looking very dark. Now, other parts of the area, like western New Jersey, brightening up a little bit at this hour. We're 68 degrees. Humidity obviously high, and the barometer is currently on the fall. Got a wind out of the south, not too gusty, 72, with that little bit of brightening we got during the lunch hour into the early afternoon hours. Half an inch of rain for the city. Here's your average high and low. Again, half an inch for the city, but much more just north and west. The darker greens you see here through central northern New Jersey into the Hudson Valley, that's 1 to 2 inches of rain. This is estimated by Doppler rainfall, and that's why we had the flooding problem. Notice the band of rain we've been dealing with over the past 12 hours. There's a little bit of a tropical connection here all the way down to the southeast. This is the break we got into for a little while today, but also notice this little front in between that popped up giving us the showers now. This is what we deal with for tomorrow. It's a couple of scattered storms, but by no means a washout, as most of it lifts to the north and east. But again, focusing on that narrow band right now, we have to watch that for the remainder of the night. If any flood warnings come out, we'll of course let you know. Watch the lower third of your screen for any crawls in our storm warning. Here's that spin you see. A couple of the showers will rotate through tomorrow, but again, not a washout. So muggy, soggy in a few spots tonight. Tomorrow there will be pleasant periods, and I think with the way the front is positioned during the afternoon, the best threat of a scattered shower or storm will be north of the city and east of the city. Otherwise, you're talking about mid-70s. Pollen count, well, we've helped with the rain with the trees and grasses. A lot of people complaining, though, about the molds right now. Here's my AccuWeather forecast for tonight. Muggy and foggy, scattered showers and storms. For tomorrow, it'll be a murky start. You'll break out into clouds and sun during the midday, and that will ignite a couple of storms, especially north and east of New York City tomorrow afternoon and evening. Then we really dry out tomorrow night. 60 degrees on the 5-day. Once again, it's a back-to-work, better weather situation. Breezy on Monday, nice. Tuesday's okay. Another wet period for Wednesday and Thursday. So again, do not cancel outdoor plans for tomorrow. Should be okay. Just have to watch out for a few stray storms.
Gotcha.
Thanks, Lee. You bet. Marvell Scott's up next for sports. He'll be live at the Meadowlands when we come back.
I'm waiting for my blind date. Please, just let him be different. Someone who's shy and sensitive. Someone who's into Mozart. Somebody who's not afraid to pick a flower. Who has inner beauty. We forget the look.
The luxurious powerful GS. It's hot.
I gotta go.
See your Lexus dealer.
Atlanta, the lines and clusters of thunderstorms now are beginning slowly to push across you. There's still a few storms out to the west. Northern Carroll County in the Villa Rica area, Clayton County, the Jonesboro Forest Park area still have some severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. Clusters of storms now in central Georgia and over across the South Carolina line. Still a few storms off to the northwest of Columbus in the Alabama side. Here's what it looks like in the metro area. These heavy storms have pushed southeastward across Marietta, across Smyrna, across the downtown, mostly down around.
Hey, we're sort of dodging any showers tonight. We've got a couple nice days to start the work. We finally an above normal day for a change. All right. Got a nice Skyview 7 to show you. Time lapse from 10 o'clock this morning looking from Brooklyn into Manhattan. Let's look at that. It was really pretty. Look at the backdrop to Manhattan there with those puffy cumulus clouds. And then they race across the sky. They try to build up during the afternoon, but at the same time we were drying in the upper atmosphere. So that squelched the thunder activity. And now we just have partly to mostly cloudy skies, and we will clear out. There's a nice picture over Manhattan now, Gotham's silhouette. 67 degrees at 6 o'clock, pair of fives for humidity, and right now the barometer is on the rise. High pressure building in for about 48 hours, a westerly wind, nice drying wind, and a high of 73. That's respectable. Once again, below average. A little bit of rainfall this morning. A few pockets got some heavier downpours. Here's your sunrise and sunset times for tomorrow. Speaking of average again, this is the 15th straight day of below average temperatures. You got to go back to May 19th when we hit 80. We were above normal. I think we could do it, if not tomorrow, definitely Tuesday, but definitely some warm days coming up. 60s, lower 70s right now, so nice evening, although a cool breeze right now. Notice the northern tier of the country definitely different here with the heat staying to the south. So you know there's a frontal boundary right here, and lo and behold, when you look at the satellite, see thunderstorms now moving through the midsection of the country. These clouds suppressed to the south for now will eventually invade the area, the tri-state area, by late Tuesday and Tuesday night. Until then, nice pocket of northwest winds coming in means we're going to be in good shape. You got to answer that phone for me? All right, as far as this area of low pressure over Ontario, that's going to spin out tonight. At this wedge of dry air moving in, a couple of spot showers from the city northward. Most of us just seeing a stray sprinkle and then clearing. Here's that batch of clouds I showed you in the middle of the country. That's staying to the south, so we're dry. Passing shower tonight, 60. Then for tomorrow, 76. Bright and breezy, not perfectly sunny skies. Pollen count courtesy Jamaica Hospital. It's trees on the low side, grass is moderate, and mold spores on the moderate side. Our next threat of rain will probably keep pumping that mold spore count up as we head into the mid and late week. But again, we got a pretty nice couple of days coming up. And of course, Yanks and Red Sox at the stadium tomorrow night should be nice, mainly clear, breezy and mild temperatures, 72. The 68. Here's my AccuWeather forecast. We go through the night, passing showers, partly cloudy, 58. Get that score. Then for tomorrow, partly sunny, breezy, and warmer, 76. And then for tomorrow night, mainly clear and 60. Good baseball weather for Pedro. And then as we go through the 5-day, looks like we won't rain until Wednesday. Now, holding off that rain means we could make a run at 80 on Tuesday. Thursday, probably a wet day, and then we'll try to clear it out for the weekend. I don't know how that got there.
Yeah, imagine that.
Good enough. Speaking of sports, Marvell Scott's up next. Stay with us.
You're watching ABC 7 Eyewitness.
And of course, the points of origin here for this time of year in the Gulf and Atlantic are mostly here closer to land, the Caribbean and the Gulf. Every once in a while you get a storm forming out here in the Atlantic, but that will come a little bit later on. Here are your typical tracks northward and then on toward Mexico and into the United States. This is what you normally see for this time of year in June. And a look at the storm names for this year.
Storm out here in the Gulf, 20 to 25 miles per hour, in some cases approaching 30 miles per hour, so the seas are kicking up. Now, whether this is going to develop into tropical or not, very unlikely right now. We have some very winds. You can see those arching across the Gulf of Mexico. That, in combination with no surface low pressure center, makes it virtually impossible to develop now. However, you see some high waves out there, and they're heading in the general direction of Corpus Christi over the next 24 hours. Right now, a couple of ship observations out there reporting wave heights as high as 12 feet. And that 12-foot range is going to be just offshore Corpus Christi by early tomorrow morning. So keep an eye out for the high winds on 20 to 25 mile per hour range, and the surf in the 8 to 12-foot range in the western Gulf of Mexico. Other than that, we're in pretty good shape there. Now out in the Caribbean, very nice weather today. Some showers still lingering over the Yucatan Peninsula, so if you're going to Cancun and Cozumel, it'll be cloudy with some rain showers mixed in, but it looks like it'll be improving weather tomorrow. The rest of the Caribbean, very nice. Not much of anything going on. Nice trade wind weather, 15 to 20 miles per hour. The remainder of the tropical Atlantic, as we expect in June, very quiet indeed, with no tropical cyclone development. Out in the eastern Pacific, which usually starts earlier, we see only showers along the Mexican Riviera, primarily in the afternoon hours, not much else going on. So with that, let's get back to severe weather with Vivian now.
Much, Dr. Lyons. A look at our threat for strong severe storms we've outlined in the orange and mainly the red for severe weather here. From
that northeast flow colliding with that southerly flow of air, and that collision is helping fuel these storms. Also helping fuel the storms are outflows of cool air left from overnight thunderstorms, and that's exactly what's causing this line of storms in Kentucky. It's along the leading edge of a cold pool that is spread away from storms that died during the morning hours over Missouri and southern Illinois, but are refiring now as they come across Kentucky. Other thunderstorms are popping up in the warm air across Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, many of the Gulf Coast states. Here's that line of severe thunderstorms coming across Kentucky. It's pushed across I-65 over east of Elizabethtown now in stretches from Madison to Danville down to around Bowling Green. This storm here in southeast Hart County is one that could be still have some rotation in it. There are severe thunderstorm warnings for northern Greene, northern Taylor. That's around the Campbellsville and Mansville area. Marion County, that's around the Lebanon area as well. Nashville, you're okay for the moment, but there are thunderstorms that can develop, and this line will slowly over the afternoon be spreading south and southeast toward your region. Montgomery and Birmingham, lots of strong storms around you. The winds aloft are not as strong as they are up in Kentucky, but these storms could produce torrential rains and some hail, some locally damaging winds from what we call wet microbursts, downdrafts from these rain-loading storms as they collapse. And they're looking at all these storms from Tuscaloosa southwestward. These are good examples of places where you could be getting flooding rain and some small hail this afternoon. We'll continue to provide storm coverage. Let's go back to Vivian.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Forrest, with the latest on
Westerly winds will not allow tropical development for this system, but the moisture will continue to impact the U.S. Out here farther off to the east, the western Bahamas and Florida are under thunderstorms tonight. No tropical development there. And up here over the Yucatan Peninsula, you remain in clouds, but it seems to be improving with time. The Caribbean tonight, rather splendid weather across the Caribbean. Big upper-level trough keeping all tropical development from happening. Now, Central Atlantic, Very fast upper-level westerly winds there with low pressure way to the south. No tropical development there. Some showers heading to the very southern windward islands here the next 24 hours. And in the eastern Pacific, we're very quiet tonight.
And for this time of the year, the points of origin for tropical storms or hurricanes to develop is mainly in the Gulf of Mexico and also throughout portions of the Caribbean. So where our storm system is right now, this is not unusual. And we've already seen over time since 1886 that we've had 62 named storms in this region. If the storm system continues to develop, there is the possibility that this storm may be the beginning of Allison, which would be our first name for the Atlantic season, followed by Barry, Chantal, and Dean, and so on and so forth throughout the rest of the line. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on. Generally, we don't look towards Africa here for the potential for tropical storms to develop this time of the year. Right now, we are focused on the Gulf of Mexico, and we do have a lot of moisture here that's moving across Central America, and you can see it continues its way into the Gulf, and here's where we are, just off the mid-coast of Texas, where we do have a fairly large system here, and there's the potential that it could possibly develop into a tropical depression. Now, it is moving right now to the north at about 5 to 10 miles an hour, and just from the National Hurricane Center, they recently reported that oil rigs off the mid-Texas coastline here are reporting winds of 40 to 50 miles an hour, just a few hundred feet off of the ground. And of course, the waves are building as high as 8 to 12 feet. So there are squalls that are going to start working their way into the southeastern Texas coastline and throughout portions of Louisiana. You can see here already a lot of moisture associated with the storm system, and it's working its way northward and headed towards the coastline. So for those of you that have interests along the coastline, we are going to see some rough seas here, and winds will continue to increase, especially as you get closer and closer to the shoreline. Right now, not too far inland, winds are gusting at times over 25 miles an hour, and you can see the squalls continuing just to the east of the Houston area and also around Lake Charles. Showers and a few embedded thunderstorms are working their way towards you, but the bulk of the activity is further to the south of you in the Gulf of Mexico. And I was looking at water temperatures, and they're right on the edge, currently at 80 degrees as you get almost to where the core is of this storm system. New Orleans, right now, you're mainly dry, but as you travel here along I-10, we are seeing some wet weather here for you. And for those of you interested in the eastern Pacific, no development is possible, but there is possible development once again in the Gulf of Mexico, and that's with this storm system here, and it may affect the mid-coast of Texas or Louisiana. We'll have to keep you updated throughout the rest of the day, so be sure to tune into the Weather Channel frequently. A lot of showers and thunderstorms. You can see the lightning being returned right now in the Gulf of Mexico. Also, a lot of lightning here across the upper Midwest, where we may see a chance for some stronger thunderstorms today. Yesterday, a lot of damage across parts of the southeast due to wind and hail. An area of low pressure in the nation's midsection, right along this warm front, is where showers and thunderstorms will be straddling throughout the rest of the day, and a lot of moisture to work with in the deep south.
Do you need to learn how to operate a computer? Hi, I'm John Scherer, CEO.
You know, our weather's kind of correct this afternoon. If you look outside, it is correctamundo. We got nice sunshine outside. It is a gorgeous day. There's Sheep's Meadow, and they already are piling up out there. The sunbathers are getting at it. It's nice, and it's comfortable outside, too. Here's the current temperature at noontime. We're already getting above 70 degrees. It's 71 now. Humidity dry at 49%. The barometer 3002 has been falling, but just a little bit poquito in that high pressure still dominating. We have great weather across the area. The winds are northwest at 7, and predominantly we'll have that wind out of the west-northwest for the afternoon. It's 63 in Monticello. That's really the cool spot. White Plains is 66, 65 at Bridgeport. Some of that is the evidence of that northwest wind influencing that. But once it downslips and gets to the city, it's 73 in Newark, 72 from Lakewood to JFK, and out toward Brooklyn and Queens, it is 68 right around Nassau County. 73 in Washington this hour. Warmer air down toward Richmond and south of there. That'll work its way up the coast. We'll get into the upper 70s later on this afternoon for today and tomorrow. Pollen count from Jamaica Hospital Medical Center. Tree pollen, moderate. What we'll see now is more in the way of grass pollen being high over the next few days and mold spores. So what we've seen is a lot of rain with the mold spores. Grass is high now, blossoming everywhere with the rain and the abundant sunshine, and now what will be the warm temperatures coming in. So be sure and check on that allergy. Now, high pressure is at the surface. Some lows have been running over that down south, and that's where the rain has been going. You'll notice the showers and thunderstorms have been cutting across down south, heading down the northern Virginia and out into the Atlantic. That's because this ridge of high pressure is over us, giving us some good weather. Eventually, the front will win out, and that's going to start happening Wednesday night into Thursday, and then showers and thunderstorms that run along that will make it into the northeast. We could get a shower or two on Thursday night, and eventually that gets out of the way, and more of this high pressure will start building in across the area. Temperatures, 53 still around Minneapolis, St. Paul, 59 Detroit. Things are warming up nicely now. You can see 82 degrees right in here from St. Louis, 78 down around Atlanta, 77 in Miami. Our AccuWeather forecast for tonight is shaping up rather nice. Partly cloudy, 62 in the city, 50s in the suburbs. Tomorrow, we'll have sunshine and another great day. The high is going to be right around 78. It'll be a nice, pleasant day. The 5-day forecast, rain on Thursday, a few showers. Not a big deal, really, often on a couple of showers here and there, but the better weather gets here starting Friday morning. The clouds roll out of the way. We'll have sunshine Friday afternoon, and Saturday and Sunday look good. 74 Saturday, 76 on Sunday. Hey, sunshine on a weekend.
Tell you about the threat for severe thunderstorms in just a moment. Right now, we want to see what's happening in the tropics, and here's our tropical expert, John Hope.
Well, thank you very much, Janetta, and we have just one concern in the tropics today, and it's in the Gulf of Mexico. It flared up rather quickly overnight, and there's a reconnaissance aircraft out there to look at it even as we speak. So far, though, there's no closed circulation been found by the aircraft, but when and if that does happen, it could go right to a tropical storm rather than to the tropical depression stage, because one thing the reconnaissance aircraft is finding are winds that are in excess of tropical storm force. Now, this is centered not very far from the coast already. It's about 150 miles away, and we don't have a real good indication yet of what the movement is, but it appears to be toward the north-northeast at about some 5 to 10 miles an hour. We'll get a better idea of that as time goes by and we get more information from the reconnaissance aircraft. Here is a closer up picture, and you can see, well, you can plainly see the circulation down here, the counterclockwise circulation. And as you might suspect with a system like this, we have pretty heavy rains that are about to move on shore. Now, the main impact of this, we believe, as far as, unless we get an awful lot more strengthening than we have seen so far, the main impact is going to be from heavy rain. Now, this is the area that we think will be in the heavy rain area, covering southern Louisiana and going all the way up to the southeast corner of Arkansas, that in the next 24 hours or so. Now, we don't have any other features to worry about in the tropics at all. If we look at the Caribbean, there's an upper trough of low pressure there and no chance of anything developing. And as we look farther out across the Atlantic Ocean, we have upper level westerlies extending all the way across, so that's going to put that area out of play, at least for the time being. And as we turn our attention to the area off the west coast of Mexico, we don't see anything there either. There, once again, is our disturbance on the infrared picture up here in the northern Gulf of Mexico. Now, as I indicated, the reconnaissance aircraft is out. We should be getting updates as time goes by, and at that time, we'll be able to tell you just exactly what is going on. But there is a possibility, anyway, that this could go directly to a tropical storm, and if it does, then tropical storm warnings will be coming out for some portions, we would think, of the Louisiana and the Texas coast. That's it for this time. Now back to Janetta.
All right, thanks so much, John. We will be monitoring the situation with what's happening along the Gulf Coast, not only because of this tropical entity, if you will, but also because we are going to see some hefty amounts of rain. Texas Gulf Coast, as well as Louisiana. Here's our front. We are probably going to be seeing a multitude of thunderstorms again today along that front. These are the zones where we're going to be very concerned about severe weather. Already those dew points are on the rise, meaning that the moisture is going to be at a premium here. I should say it's definitely going to be widespread. And so we've got
this system is bringing some very heavy rain, the open waters of the Gulf, but also pulling in some moisture for the upper coast of Texas into Louisiana. Closer inspection, this is the radar out of the area, which shows from Galveston and Houston over to Beaumont, Port Arthur, Lake Charles, right along Interstate 10 or Interstate 12 as you head eastward into Louisiana. We have very heavy rain, embedded storms here as they basically pull off to the north and west. Now, we could easily, before this system totally loses its moisture and punch, we could easily find anywhere from 6 to 8 inches of rain, and flood watches perhaps will be posted for this area later today. The heaviest rain we think will be anywhere from Houston over to New Orleans, so watching this very, very carefully for you. If you live in this general area, then certainly you want to monitor the situation and keep tuning into the Weather Channel periodically throughout the afternoon, just in case this system becomes a tropical storm and there are tropical storm watches issued for the area. So we will keep you up to date. Keep us your tropical authority. Here's a look at the rest of the southeast. We've had some showers over northern Mississippi around the Tupelo area and just north of Birmingham, all drifting off to the north and east. We've even had some showers approaching the downtown Atlanta area. Tropical storm. Its name is Allison. So let's go to our tropical weather expert, John Hope.
Well, thank you very much, Vivian. We've been watching this very carefully, and as Vivian indicated, we can now report to you that a tropical storm has formed in the northwestern Gulf of Mexico. It's Tropical Storm Allison. It is moving toward the north. It's not very far offshore now, about 80 miles or so south of Galveston. So we would think sometime this evening or tonight that the center is coming on shore. Nevertheless, after being out there for quite some time, the aircraft finally was able to find out that there is a closed circulation there. Let's have a look at it on the satellite picture and see what we're dealing with out here. And as we do that, we can see the center down here just about south of Galveston Bay. Not much of anything going on to the southwest of that. All the clouds and heavy rain and so on are generally north and east of it, moving up into the continental part of the United States, into Texas and portions of Louisiana. And it doesn't have a lot of time to do much more than what it's doing now. The top winds are 60 miles an hour. They have been finding tropical storm force winds out there all afternoon, and we knew if they were able to close it off, that is to find a closed center, it would become a named storm, which it has done. Here's the radar superimposed on the satellite picture, and again we would point out that most of the weather is pretty rapidly approaching the coast, and that means that the center of this circulation, and therefore any possibility of further development, is going to be ending sometime pretty early this evening. That's the only thing we have in the tropics to be worried about at all. We'll keep you up to date on this, and we'll have a graphic to show you that Tropical Storm Allison coming up. Now back to Vivian Brown.
Well, thank you very much. John Hope with the very latest on, again, Tropical Storm Allison in the western Gulf of Mexico.
Let's tell you how much and where next in Weather Center.
Hello and welcome to Weather Center. I'm Arch Kennedy.
And I'm Janetta Jones. A serious situation now in the Gulf of Mexico. Tropical Storm Allison, it has just been named, and we have the latest information for you. Want to show you what's going on with the radar, and you can already see the hefty amounts of tropical moisture moving into Louisiana and Texas, and this is going to be your greatest threat, although strong gusty winds up to tropical storm force are certainly possible. Want to give you the latest information. We don't have this graphically yet because it just happened, quite frankly, but we have this just out. Tropical storm warning has been issued for the Texas and Louisiana Gulf Coast from Sargent, Texas to Morgan City, Louisiana. So we'll be getting that drawn up for you very shortly. The center of the tropical storm, which is named Allison, now centered at 28.3 north, 94.7 west. So if you can get your bearings there. Present movement towards the north at about 11 knots. Maximum sustained winds at 50 knots with gusts to 60 knots. But the forecast does call for it to move inland very, very shortly within the next 12 hours or so, and then begin to dissipate as it will be moving over land. And as you know, tropical systems cannot intensify if they are not over the warm waters of the Gulf or the Atlantic, whatever the case may be. So that's what's happening. We now have Tropical Storm Allison. We're going to be watching very closely for the strong tropical storm force winds. Don't forget we have tropical storm warnings in effect along the coast now, and we're also going to be watching for the extreme heavy downpours. Like I said, we'll be getting the tropical storm symbol on here very, very shortly. We do have the coastal flood warnings that have already been issued across this region. And back towards Baton Rouge, you could be in for some heavier amounts of rain, too.
The bottom line is it's only about 80 miles south-southeast of Galveston, and it's actually a little closer than that now, moving at 13 miles per hour. Winds 60 miles per hour, and we think it's going to run out of room before it gets to the coast, so that we don't expect much strengthening beyond this. But we do have tropical storm warnings up from Sargent, Texas, all the way around to Morgan City, Louisiana. So anybody in that area, you can expect tropical storm force winds, and some of those winds could exceed 50 miles per hour, even upwards of 60 miles per hour. Now look at the visible satellite imagery here, and you can see the circulation center is basically tucked in this area right here, not too far from the greater Galveston area, moving pretty much northward. And at about 6 to 8 hours, that circulation center is going to be on shore. Most of the circulation is very asymmetric, with the strongest winds and the heaviest rain off to the east. So if you're down here in Corpus Christi, you're not going to see too much impact from this tropical cyclone. But nevertheless, it is a very potent system relative to rainfall. You can see here's the greater Galveston area out towards New Orleans to the east, also seeing some showers from it. Let's zoom in on that radar, and we can see the features very carefully here in Galveston. And along this area near the location of landfall in the next 6 to 8 hours, we can expect surge, water rise of about 2 to 4 feet, which is really not going to be too bad along most of the coastal areas. 2 feet is not too bad. 4 could cause some problems in some locations. But the inland rainfall is our biggest impact potential. So we'll be watching that rainfall over the next 12 hours and let you know what happens. There's quite a bit of rain behind the circulation center at landfall, so be prepared. Let's get back to the studio with Vivian now.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Lyons. Of course, we are watching Tropical Storm Allison, and you can clearly identify the storm here in the western Gulf with all of this rain coming into the upper coast of Texas and western Louisiana. Now, other than this batch of heavy rain, we have noticed some rain showers moving across northern Mississippi and Alabama, and some thunderstorms here over south central Florida. Let's zoom in on the Magnolia State first of all. And again, we've had some passing showers.
As we get through the day tomorrow, we'll continue to see more moisture surge into this area. Now, we've also been watching areas of severe and potentially severe weather.
Coming up, I'll tell you how long the severe weather will last. Good evening and welcome to Weather Center. I'm Jennifer Lopez, along with Paul Goodlow.
Thanks for joining us this evening, and your Wednesday forecast is on the way. Plus, we'll have a lot more on that severe weather coverage to talk about. But right now, our top story continues to be Tropical Storm Allison. Again, the Houston, Galveston area can expect to see severe flooding from this system. Let's begin with the latest information on this storm and how it's affecting you. Again, Galveston and Harris counties are under a flash flood warning until 10:30 Central Daylight Time. Voluntary evacuations have been issued on Galveston Island. Stretches of Interstate 45 are reported closed at this hour because of flooding. And just outside of Austin, Texas, in the town of Cowart Creek, 10.59 inches of rain has been recorded. And again, let's take a look at the current situation on this area. And again, Tropical Storm Allison, here are the latest coordinates for you as of 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Again, it is currently about 60 miles south-southwest of Galveston, Texas. Sustained winds reported at 60 miles per hour and is not moving very much, nearly stationary. And in fact, we do have tropical storm advisories up, and they stretch from Sargent, Texas, through the Galveston Bay area, along the coast to Morgan City, Louisiana. And if you can take a look at the radar, we are seeing a lot of rain. And for more on Tropical Storm Allison, let's go to our hurricane expert who's been tracking this storm since it evolved this afternoon, Dr. Steve Lyons.
Thanks, Paul, and we continue to monitor a cluster of heavy rain that's been impacting the greater Houston area over the last 6 hours. Some areas experiencing rainfall approaching 1 foot. It's producing widespread flooding. There's now a flash flood warning up for northern Brazoria County and southeast Texas as well. Let's look at the visible satellite imagery here, the infrared satellite imagery. The circulation center appears to be coming onshore very close to extreme western Galveston Island right now. But that's not the area to be concerned about. It's this big cloud clusters that's been parked over the South Texas area near Houston over the last 6 or 7 hours. Is producing copious amounts of rainfall and massive flooding. You can see that over the Houston area, especially the western portion of Houston right now, we're seeing some heavy rain coming down, and also well off to the east as well. But let's zoom in on the greater Houston area right now. You can see very heavy rain near the 610 loop and I-10 on the east side of town, but there's also some very heavy flooding occurring down there, Pearland, along I-45. Also, areas associated with heavy flooding include portions of northern Brazoria County, Brookside Village, Pearland, areas north of Highway 6. We've had very heavy rainfall associated with this area in Cowart Creek at Baker Road, almost 11 inches of rain. The Houston Hobby Airport now approaching 7 inches of rainfall in some areas. So this whole area, very perilous, heavy rain coming down. A lot of the underpasses, bayous, creeks, and feeder roads are flooded. So try to stay out of your car driving tonight in the area. It's primarily a rain situation with widespread flooding over the greater Houston area. The wind areas are really calming down quite a bit as the circulation appears to be approaching landfall. But more heavy rain is developing in the area and will be persisting over the next 12 hours in this area. Let's get back to Paul in the studio now.
Thanks to Dr. Steve Lyons, our hurricane expert. And also, as he said, Houston's getting pounded with heavy rain. For a live look at the Houston area, let's go live to our own Mike Seidel, who is standing by live in the Galleria area. Mike, what have you seen so far this evening?
Hi, Paul. Well, we got into the airport about an hour ago on the north side of town at Bush Intercontinental, and the drive over here was certainly not very good. Most people had their emergency flashers on, doing about 40 miles an hour, driving, torrential rain, a lot of lightning. I was kind of surprised about the number of lightning flashes. In fact, we've had some here on the west side of town, as you mentioned, in the Galleria, and a lot of flooding. We saw one intersection where a local police authority car had driven into the water, was flooded out, and he was hiking out to safety. Just a primary example of when you come to a street in a situation like this, you need to turn around and go the other way. Many of the feeder roads on the Katy Freeway, the I-10 freeway, 610, which is the loop around Houston, are underwater. We encountered a few of those where we had to get over to the left lane or the right lane, depending on the elevation, to be safe. And out here, just on some of these side streets, and granted, it hasn't rained as hard on this side of town so far, and it's not raining that hard right now, but there is a lot of standing water across all these intersections. So watch that, certainly not only this evening, but tomorrow morning for rush hour. Once again, it's the south and east side of town. It seems to be hit the hardest. Subdivisions underwater. Fortunately, most of the interstates, like the one we were on, 610 and 59 out of the Intercontinental Airport, Bush Intercontinental, they are elevated. So the only concern there is the standing water and the water running down the interstates. But once you get off the main thoroughfares, there's a lot of problems, a lot of flooding as the rain continues here in Houston, and we'll keep you updated. Again, the real impact from Allison will be the flooding here in the interior low-lying areas. Paul?
Thanks. It's Mike Snow reporting live tonight from the Houston area. And again, Houston, much of southeastern Texas, much of southern, actually all of southern Louisiana, flash flood watches, because we will still see.
Wind has not been a big factor tonight. The big emphasis we routinely try to emphasize on this system is not wind, not surge, but rainfall. Let's look at the radar out of Houston. Here's downtown Houston right here, out toward Katy to the west, and down to the south. So far, the biggest impact along the greater Houston area has been basically this area out in through here over the last 6 hours. The rainfall, luckily, in these areas is pushed to the north. Now it's heading up toward Aldine. That's good news. It's spreading out the rain. You could get some localized flooding there. But the heaviest impact areas, which were really down to the south and east of downtown Houston, are starting to lighten up a little bit. That doesn't mean exacerbate some of the rain and flooding problem we see, but nevertheless, it looks like it's letting up in the greater Houston area. Now, as we move farther off to the east, we have even more of a problem out toward the area near New Orleans. We'll continue to monitor that tonight, too, with some possibility for flooding. Let's get back to the studio now with Paul.
All right, thanks.
Very latest regarding Allison. Well, Allison was downgraded to a tropical depression, and as of the 4 o'clock advisory this morning, that was the final advisory, and at that point it was very close to Houston and around the Galveston Bay area. But since that point, it has slowly drifted off towards the north, and right now the center of circulation very close to Lufkin, Texas. With that low spinning around and all that deep tropical moisture lurking across the south, we've been seeing some very heavy downpours. Right now, some of the heaviest weather taking place across the southeastern parishes of Louisiana, and more of that heavy rain lifting up towards Mississippi throughout the course of the afternoon. Again, heavy rain, that's the big story. We've had some spots across eastern Texas and across Louisiana that have easily picked up a ½ foot or more of rainfall. Specifically, one of the hardest hit spots, one of the southern parishes or one of the southern suburbs of Houston, Santa Fe, Texas. Again, that's on the south end of Houston. We picked up a whopping 12 inches of rainfall there. But even for the Houston metro area itself, like around the Hobby International Airport, even back towards the International Airport too, again, 5 to 8 inches of rainfall, very common, with more locally heavy rains too sweeping in across Louisiana. Well, as it stands right now, you can very clearly pick out the center of circulation, again spinning and pinwheeling its way across eastern Texas. More of that wraparound moisture. There's a chance that some of these showers will eventually brush through the Dallas metro area too a little bit later this afternoon. The rains lifting up towards the Little Rock and Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and the Texarkana area. And so far, though, the heaviest rains continue right across the southern parishes of Louisiana, where these rains will be fairly stubborn and slow to move out throughout the afternoon. As we get away from Texas, though, and checking out the rest of the tropics, it's actually not looking too bad for most locales, although a little flare-up of some showers and thunderstorms right now and some deep convection right across Central America. Along with that, too, we've had a little minor wave working its way across the islands this morning, producing some cloudy skies. But further out towards the Atlantic Basin, some strong westerly winds aloft are inhibiting any tropical development from taking place. And across the eastern Pacific, no major concerns across this area.
Breeze in New Orleans, but as you can see, the dew point's not too far behind. So the air very, very juicy here, and it's not going to take much at all to squeeze out the rainfall today. Hopefully more showers and storms to benefit the state of Florida. As you can see, they are quite humid as well. Let's check out the Midwest.
We do have a good possibility of tornadoes. There are no tornado warnings in effect right now, but definitely watching the very unstable weather here over Baton Rouge and New Orleans with just torrential downpours, and this is moving into the Jackson area as well. So needless to say, flood watches remain in effect for this area, again, eastern Texas and Louisiana, as we have the remnants of Allison here that has already moved onshore.
Also a major concern not only along the Gulf Coast, but in parts of the Midwest. And while the threat of severe thunderstorms looms from the northern plains to the mid-Atlantic, it's mild and partly sunny in parts of the Northeast and a scorcher for the Southwest. Hello and welcome to this edition of Weather Center. I'm Jeff Morrow.
And hello, I'm Vivian Brown. Thanks for joining us. Now, the remnants of Allison are producing heavy rain in the Gulf Coast. Here's what's happening in New Orleans. We have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect right now for Orleans Parish, which includes the city of New Orleans. Torrential rain is falling in the Crescent City today. Thunderstorms will be a case all day today, we think, so keep your umbrella handy. I know you will, because it is coming down at a very good clip in the New Orleans area, and I'm sure we have some stronger winds associated with it too because of the thunderstorm activity. Now here's a look at the Doppler radar, which shows how much rain we've had so far, the estimated rainfall totals, and we've had anywhere from 3, 6, 7, 8, even up to 12 inches of rain in some cases. And we can show you some of those rainfall totals as they have been, again, very impressive. The Santa Fe region, which is just west of Houston and the Galveston area, we've had anywhere from 11 to 12 inches. And the downtown Houston area, at the Hobby Airport anyway, over 8.5 inches. Intercontinental has picked up over 5 inches. And there you have it, New Orleans, over 3.5 inches of rain. So rainfall totals, yeah, quite impressive. But that's what you get many times with tropical systems, that deep tropical moisture. Now, Allison is no longer a tropical storm, no longer a depression, but it still has a circulated system here, or circulated center, that has moved just north of Houston. And notice all of the heavy rain being pumped to the east of the center of circulation here over southeastern Louisiana and the southern and central parts of Mississippi. Closer inspection shows that heavy rain coming into downtown Jackson, all coming in from the south side. Again, this is all the remnants of yesterday's tropical storm Allison. Closer inspection shows that heavy rain, and again, these are the thunderstorms just west of downtown New Orleans, where we have the severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. So a very dangerous scenario here with some of the gusty winds, and many times now with landfalling tropical systems, you get a high chance of tornadoes, and tornado warnings have been issued for some of the counties too, some of the parishes, that is, in Louisiana. Livingston Parish and St. Helena Parish, we have tornado warnings in effect. So some of these storms could produce tornadoes. Also, with them, at the very least, the deep tropical moisture, and in many cases with tropical systems making landfall, you get tornadic activity. Radar shows how much has already fallen, and as mentioned, we're talking about flooding problems around Houston, as we've had over 12 inches been reported in some cases. And you can see here, this radar just shows the heaviest rain did fall across the upper coast of Texas into Louisiana. This is as of 8 o'clock this morning, but since 8 o'clock this morning, we had the heaviest rain to fall over the eastern parts of Louisiana and south central Mississippi. Here we've had reports of upwards some 12 inches as well, so major flooding concerns over the southeastern parts of Louisiana. And with that in mind, flood watches have been issued for southeastern Louisiana, northwestern Louisiana, and back along the upper coast of Texas here. The center of the low pressure system is right here now, well north of Houston, but this is only the remnant of what was once Tropical Storm Allison. This is no longer a tropical system in terms of overall tropical characteristics. However, we do have that deep tropical moisture feeding into southeastern Louisiana as well as central Mississippi. Look at the regional radar, which shows all of this heavy rain still falling, and there you can see the swirl with the center of that low pressure that moved onshore, by the way, earlier this morning, about 2 o'clock Eastern time. So we are still getting the impacts of the system. Now, we have some renegade thunder showers developing across Georgia and Florida, but the concentrated deep, heavy rain and embedded storms are still here over Louisiana from New Orleans and Baton Rouge, right along Interstate 55 now as you head toward the Jackson, Mississippi area. Again, this is a deluge of rain and flooding problems in the area, so please be careful as you travel the interstates and certainly the secondary roadways as well. Wanted to show you the radar out of Atlanta because even though this is not directly associated with the remnants of Tropical Storm Allison, we've had these thunder showers just build over northern Georgia. Scenes from earlier today, folks were out in the perimeter area, and yeah, I can imagine these thunderstorms caught many off guard, but there were a few people that were prepared for the afternoon thunderstorms. Actually, this thunder shower in Atlanta kind of cooled
over Texas, but some of the heavier rain is over into parts of Louisiana as well as into parts of Mississippi, where in some areas have seen over 10 inches of rain estimated in these areas. So we put it all into motion. Again, you can see some of this wet weather here, especially in eastern Louisiana, including around New Orleans, around Baton Rouge, and all of that extends right on up into Mississippi and Texas. You've seen some of that wet weather as well. You can still see, again, that area of low pressure here. Take a look at some of the rainfall totals we've had. Santa Fe, Texas, 12 inches of rain there. Houston, over 8.5 inches of rain. New Orleans, over 4.5 inches of rain. In Baton Rouge, a similar situation there. As a matter of fact, Baton Rouge right now, you're under a flash flood warning with more rain possible, and we're really concerned about New Orleans as well because you've seen heavy rain with the potential for a lot more, and we have a number of flash flood watches in effect in addition to the flash flood warnings. So definitely we urge you to be cautious in all of these areas. Many areas, the roads are underwater, and as we always tell you in flash flooding situations, do not drive your car through any areas where water covers the roads. It can be very, very dangerous, and most fatalities in flash flooding situations do occur in automobiles, so please don't take any chances. Well, it's not just these areas that we're concerned about, but also as we head on southward here, we have coastal flood watches in effect from the lower Atchafalaya River over to Bay St. Louis, so you definitely do want to watch out for flooding in these areas. Well, let's look at where all of this rain is falling, and we're seeing, again, the circulation around that low. Look out Shreveport. It looks like an area of storms headed right in your direction. Tyler, Texas, it's going to be a soggy time for a while longer there. And again, with this system just really not showing much of a sign of much movement, some of these same areas are going to continue to see rain, and that includes you around Baton Rouge, where once
by tomorrow, not because we have high pressure building down in Canada, and you will see results in just a minute. First, you'll see New York City tonight, and it's nice. Do have some clouds out there, though, and at least we did have a pretty pleasant day across the area. Well, there's a little battle of sun and clouds going on. We'll see that likely again tomorrow. 75 the high, very close to average, 65 the low. Records of 98 and 47 were set just 20 years apart, 1925 and 1945. Right now, a mostly cloudy sky, but it's mild, 71. The air is dry, the wind is calm, and the pressure is rising from 29.97. All pretty good weather indicators tonight. And it looks like our forecast area is seeing some pretty nice temperatures everywhere. In fact, 60s coming in from the Hamptons, although Mattatuck, the cooler spot at 59. Same for Poughkeepsie. Everybody else upper 60s to the lower 70s, again with a mostly cloudy sky. Well, that's what's left of Allison. You can still see that swath of cloud cover and rain, and that's going to be affecting the south probably for the next 2 or 3 days. So, you know, a little soggy forecast there. They've had almost the same results in Louisiana today with the heavier rain there. But showers have made it as far north as the western edge of Pennsylvania, and another cluster of thunderstorms went off just to our south earlier today. It's not coming our way anytime soon. Look at the satellite loop. You can see how the clouds just kind of get shunted off to the south as this little bridge of fair weather comes right on down from Canada. So that's going to ensure our next couple of days to be pretty nice across the region. Here's the map for tomorrow. You'll see what I mean. The sun and cloud combination is there, with the showers and storms still lining up from the Ohio Valley right down to Virginia and down into parts of North Carolina. That front really not moving anywhere as high pressure ridges again down in from Canada. Friday's a nice day, lots of sunshine and mild, pretty much upper 70s through the forecast period, and it looks like it's going to hold right through the weekend. Let's check my forecast for New York City and the tri-state area. A mild night. We'll call for some clouds to still linger most of the night. 60 in town, but middle 50s for the cooler suburbs. Tomorrow, sunshine and clouds. About 78 will be the high tomorrow. That's pretty close to average, and a beautiful sunset at 8:25. Here's your 5-day forecast. Not so bad Friday. Still around that 78-degree mark with sunshine. 80 on Saturday. That's going to be nice. A few more clouds scattered about on Sunday, but still, I think, a decent day. And then Monday, back to 81 with a pretty good amount of sunshine. Wow, we're doing something right for a change. How about that?
We'll take it.
Okay.
Thanks, Nikki. One of Spain's most...
What this system is also continuing to do is bring rain across New Orleans, across Baton Rouge, all the way through southern Louisiana up into portions of Mississippi. And in through this area, we have had a tremendous amount of rain. Some places reporting more than 8 inches. And as we look at how much rain the radar has estimated this area has seen today, just since this morning, some places in the red and yellow could be anywhere from perhaps 5 to nearly 10 inches of rain. So there have been flash flooding. There has been flash flooding occurring, as well as the flash flood watches are still in place throughout the day on Wednesday. Into the Gulf of Mexico, we are finding conditions quiet tonight and not anticipating anything to develop or come flaring up over the next 24 hours. As we look off into the Atlantic here too, we're finding some calm conditions for the tropics. And looking over into the western Pacific, well, we have a bad frame in there, but we are finding quiet conditions. Let's get back into the southeast because we have been dealing with some rain as well as a few isolated thunderstorms, and the thunderstorms have died down and most of the rain is dying down too, but we could still see some heavier amounts coming into Virginia.
To 12, and the number of hurricanes from 6 to 7. As for the number of intense hurricanes, which are Category 3 or higher, Dr. Gray now says there will be 3 instead of 2. He cites colder temperatures in the Pacific and heavy rains in West Africa as reasons for a more intense season. Well, the hurricane season is still relatively young, but already we've gotten off to a flurry of activity. Of course, just a couple days ago, we had Tropical Storm Allison. Allison, no more really a tropical entity, but it continues, or at least the leftover moisture from Allison continues to cause some major headaches across the south. We've seen some really soaking rains, especially for parts of Texas and Louisiana, well over a foot of rain for some places. More specifically, around Baton Rouge, Louisiana, nearly 11.5 inches of rain since the storm began. Houston, Texas continues to see the rain mounting up, nearly 9 inches of rain there. Some heavy rains, too, for places like Lafayette and Huntsville, Texas, back over towards Slidell, Louisiana. Again, some exceptionally heavy rain. One of the hardest hit spots that I could find was across extreme southeastern parts of Louisiana, back through St. James Parish, and also for Terrebonne Parish. We've had some unofficial accounts of over 15 inches of rain. So a lot of rain just totally saturating the soils across the south central states. And believe it or not, we have some very weak steering currents across this area. So this little low pressure area continues to spin through eastern Texas, and it's simply not going to be budging very quickly. There's the low milling around and festering, producing more heavier rains right around the Houston, Galveston Bay area. We have more flood warnings out too for Fort Bend and Harris County, back over towards around Brazoria County, flash flood warnings in effect. And again, the heavier rain surging up through Louisiana, and that moisture too continues to feed back through Mississippi and Alabama. Now, what we think is going to be happening, though, is that over time this low will start to gradually drift towards the east. We also have a frontal boundary too sagging down from the north, and all that will help to drag this moisture farther to the east. So what's going to be happening, the rain will eventually start to pick up in earnest too for Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and across the Carolinas over about the next 24 to 48 hours or so. Now, as we get away from that tropical moisture across the southeast and we check out the rest of the tropics, it's remaining relatively quiet, especially throughout the Atlantic basin, as we have some strong westerly winds aloft, and those westerly winds are helping to preclude any tropical development from taking place. Although do notice a very strong tropical wave just exiting the African shoreline. We'll have to monitor that situation for the potential for development. Aside from that, heading off towards the eastern Pacific, all is quiet in the wake of that major hurricane just a couple of days ago. Well, now we head back to the states and we check out what's happening through the southeastern states. And again, the soaking rains are plaguing parts of Texas. More locally heavy rain lifting up towards the Mid-South and Tennessee Valley. In fact, some heavy rains right around the Chattanooga area, back towards around the Blue Ridge Mountains. More scattered showers and storms, too, lifting up.
The Colorado State University prognosticator for hurricanes has indicated that he is upping his prediction to 12 named storms from 10, 7 hurricanes from 6, and major hurricanes from 2 to 3. Now, he's upping these because he thinks the Pacific waters, being much cooler than normal, are going to have an influence. Also, some rain on the coast of Africa that has been fairly heavy, also being a player in this entire scenario. An average season is 9, 6, and 2, and which originally he had thought that perhaps it would be average from the standpoint of major hurricanes and number of hurricanes, but named storms, he still thought there might be one more than normal. Now, he is indicating 3 more than what is average, and along the East Coast he thinks there's a greater threat for the potential for landfalling hurricanes. So that's Dr. William Gray's prediction. Gulf of Mexico, Caribbean Sea, that's where we look for tropical storm formation, as you know, and we've seen the first one of the year, Allison, and Allison's still a factor spinning about East Texas. The next one would be Barry, the following Chantal. Allison has been responsible for increased moisture and deep-laden tropical air mass for very heavy amounts of rain in the southeastern parishes of Louisiana, for example. In Baton Rouge, almost 12 inches of rain has fallen. Over 8 inches of rain, almost 9 in fact, at Patterson, Louisiana, and Hobby Airport, downtown airport of Houston's picked up 9 inches of rain. We've had 12 inches of rain in Friendswood and Santa Fe, south of Houston, near the coast, and heavy rain once again falling around Brazoria County, where flash flood warnings are in effect, in Galveston County as well. Now, the forecast for the remnants of Allison is to slowly slide south, maybe a little bit southwestward. Nothing new in the Gulf of Mexico developing, but we keep our eyes on the Yucatan and to west of the Yucatan toward the Bay of Campeche for the possibility of something going on. But right now, we're in pretty good shape from any new tropical systems developing. As you head out in the Atlantic, notice to the south here what looks like a pretty impressive wave, but this is even one more impressive. But you don't normally look to Africa the beginning of June for tropical storm formation. But these are pretty impressive. They have a long way to go and a lot of hostile cold waters out ahead of them, and then some westerly shear to gain any particular attention. But the National Hurricane Center, John Hope, Dr. Steve Lyons, all have their eye on a possibility of events occurring in the Atlantic over toward the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. Climatologically speaking, toward Africa, not favorable for tropical storm formation. Here's where you may see a severe thunderstorm cell today. The mid-Atlantic states, toward New Orleans, and then in Colorado.
2 levels below all the other top players. And she's worked on it the last 6 months, but I think the commitment is the most important thing. You know, everything else is secondary now. I mean, all she wants to do is play tennis.
For Martina Hingis, is she in danger of having the power of the game sort of pass her by?
Well, it was enough that she used her head before. You know, right. Yes, she didn't have power, but she had finesse, and she outsmarted her players. I don't see her doing that. Do you, John? No, I mean, today?
Today, she just, but it's gotten to her, to me. I think it's gotten to her, the fact that her headiness is, like you said, not enough. And that serve has really become a liability to me.
Yeah.
Do you look, by the way, if Capriati's gets through this, that she's going to win? I mean, that she's going to win this whole thing?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I don't think Kim Clijsters has anything to hurt her with.
She's fit.
As long as her, you know, supposedly she had a little bit of a knee injury, but I don't know. She looks pretty quick to me. Whoa. She just whacks that ball, doesn't she? I mean, she only knows like one gear.
I didn't realize getting some heavy rain back into the Houston-Galveston area. Now, we've already had tremendously heavy rains, and heavy rain continues to fall. We can show you where some of those areas are. Here's a
25, and here's your beautiful 5-day forecast. Enjoy it, because it doesn't get any better than this time of the year, folks. Look at Saturday. Bright and sunny, 79, morning comfortable low 63, 80 on Sunday. After a morning low of 62, we may get a shower or thunderstorm on Monday. And then Tuesday, it starts warming up. In fact, by the middle of next week, we may be seeing temperatures approaching the middle 80s. So enjoy it while it's comfortable now, but I want my gold stars, and I want real gold stars this time, okay?
Don't we all?
Yeah.
He wants gold. Forget about the stars. All right, thanks, Nikki.
Okay.
Well, one of the worst things that can happen
here on the Weather Channel, and we are still watching the circulation from what's left over of Tropical Storm Allison still impact our weather throughout much of the U.S. In fact, we're seeing the moisture from the southeast give you strong thunderstorms in parts of Kansas, western Kansas, Nebraska, Wyoming, even Colorado this evening, and a lot of storms still rolling throughout parts of Alabama and parts of Georgia right now, and more strong storms in parts of South Texas. Now again, we've seen an incredible amount of rain. This graphic shows you how much rain from yesterday through this morning. You can see lots of yellows, lots of reds. You look at our legend here, we're talking over 6 inches, between 6 and 10 inches of rain. Now, this shows you how much rain we've seen so far today since 8 o'clock this morning. You can see how the rain, the green, continues to surge on this way as storms and moisture is surging on from the Gulf of Mexico throughout parts of Alabama and into Georgia. Here's a heads up in Georgia. Look at Alabama. You see how it filled in throughout the evening and the day? Expect that same moisture to head your way, so expect much needed rain to fall here in parts of middle and southern Georgia as well as northern Georgia as well. You can see still some yellow showing up here. We're talking 3 and 4 inches of rain. You add it all together since it first started raining. Baton Rouge, we've seen over 15 inches of rain, nearly a foot of rain in Lafayette, Louisiana. Slidell, Louisiana, almost 10.5, over 9 inches in Houston's Hobby Airport. Patterson, Louisiana as well, closing in on 8.5 in New Orleans. Almost 8 in Huntsville, Texas. Beaumont, over 5.7 inches of rain, and we're still seeing rain throughout parts of the piney woods of East Texas, moving up towards Marshall, Texas, and Tyler, and trying to move throughout parts of the I-45 corridor back towards the Houston area, and more showers and thunderstorms streaming throughout parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. Because of that, we have flash flood watches up. Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and a good chunk of southeastern Texas.
Spring is in the air and summer's on the way. So enjoy yourself with a New York attitude by wearing New York One. You'll be New York's #1 fan with a New York One baseball cap. You'll be truly worth watching with a New York One t-shirt. And surf's up, baby.
We often associate severe winds with tornadoes and hurricanes. But there are times when the wind on its own can stir up trouble. In the drier areas of the world, from Egypt to Australia, powerful winds will create massive clouds of sand that can bring a city to a standstill. Midday becomes night as dust and sand block the sunlight, casting an eerie hue on the landscape. The swirling sand makes it nearly impossible to breathe. The dust cloud can become so thick that driving is hazardous. Sandstorms can originate miles away, where the winds become strong enough to lift the sand off the ground.
The sandstorm problem is sort of interesting because you reach a threshold with which the small sand particles become airborne. Once that happens, you've got dust in the air and you've got a mess on your hands.
In Beijing, China, on March 27, 2000, winds measuring 48 miles per hour carried fine sand from the Mongolian desert more than 500 miles away into China's capital. The sandstorm choked residents and snarled traffic in the city. The 40-minute sandstorm claimed 16 lives and injured at least 50. In Egypt, on May 3, 1997, in the worst sandstorm in 30 years, desert sand stirred up by 60-mile-per-hour winds killed 24 people and injured 60 more. The sheer size of dust storms can't help but humble us. These massive rolling clouds of sand like much of nature's most severe weather, can sometimes dwarf our largest cities and overwhelm our smallest ones. Yet despite the danger, man continues to move into areas prone to disaster. Every year, images of weather-related catastrophes reinforce our awareness of the weather, and they suggest that the weather's getting worse. But is it?
Well, it doesn't appear to be. We don't see any increases in tropical cyclones over the long haul. Tornado frequency is not necessarily increasing in time. We are seeing a much bigger population across the United States. Many more people spread out. Therefore, a tornado that goes across the U.S. is likely to hit somebody, whereas before it may have gone through an open field.
As we expand our communities over the landscape, it's obvious that severe weather will become an increasingly significant part of our lives. Since there's no way to control the weather, it's the way we learn to protect ourselves from it that will allow us to endure it. There's no denying we're all fascinated by the sight of a tornado or a flood at a distance. They're extraordinary to behold. But the experience of seeing the world's worst weather close up reminds us all of nature's staggering power.
Continues to be the soaking rain. What at one point, just a couple of days ago, was Tropical Storm Allison. At least the remnants of it continue to cause a lot of problems. Still holding on here, pretty much the same spot. So those totals just keep going up and up. Also across the southern U.S., even the northwest. Other than just a few clouds around, no real major precipitation. But some storms. Dodge City expect this here about the rainfall pushing through downtown. 68 to Santa Barbara and San Diego. 69 for the second day in a row. Around 96 towards Sacramento and the state capital. A little cooler in Blue Canyon at 75 and in the 80s, 82 toward San Francisco.
This afternoon, you're getting heavier precipitation once again toward the very center of circulation. As you can see over here toward New Orleans, some of these still very heavy. So as a result of all, a lot of flash flood watches and warnings covering portions of East Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, and we try to keep you updated to top and the bottom of each hour on the details of all those. Let's take a look out over the rest of the ocean to show you that we don't have anything immediately to be concerned about at all. I did want to show that radar out of Houston, and you can see some very heavy showers here headed on toward the coast, and here's the core up here, the circulation around the area just to the south of Bluffton. Outside of that, though, not much to worry about. Here's some rainfall totals, and you can see they're very formidable. That's up through 1 o'clock this afternoon. Well, now, Dr. Bill Gray has come out with a brand new forecast on his seasonal forecast, and he's upped it quite a bit. He now forecasts 12 named storms, 7 hurricanes, 3 major hurricanes. Each time Dr. Gray has changed the forecast this spring, he has come up a little bit higher. Out over the Caribbean and the Gulf, everything is looking just fine. And out off the coast of Africa, we have a fairly good wave for so late in the year, but we would be pretty surprised to see anything develop out there. That's the tropics. Now back to Janetta.
Thanks a lot, John. Well, we do have a tremendous amount of rain occurring across Louisiana and Texas and Mississippi, and we are going to talk more about the watches and warnings in just a minute or two when we have Weather Center at the top of the hour. We also have a new severe thunderstorm watch in effect for parts of the Carolinas. We'll be showing you that graphically as soon as possible. Along that front and south of it, that's where all the moisture and heat is being located, and that's where we're expecting the potential for some severe weather today and tonight.
Big brother, little brother. Car keys, cartoons.